Can you play Fortnite on the Nintendo Switch? Yes, but is it good? Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Drew. Today we're going to be answering the question, is Fortnite for the Nintendo Switch actually good? So the things we're going to be talking about in this video will apply always to the regular model of the Switch and sometimes to the Nintendo Switch Lite. But the video is actually made around the regular Switch because that's the one that I have. So the first thing we're going to be talking about is the hardware. So what I mean by the hardware is mostly the controllers. So the Joy-Cons are the main controllers. They're actually pretty decent, but the problems with them are that they have small buttons, which isn't an actual problem for gameplay. The next one is loud buttons. The buttons on the Joy-Cons are extremely clicky and loud, which just feels really weird. But I know it's not an actual problem for your gameplay. And the next one is the same way. It is that the triggers are really shallow and clicky, just like the buttons. So these are all pretty bad things, but then I have one good thing, which is that the button layout is the same. So if you're coming from a different console, it's going to be really easy to adjust to the Switch version because the buttons are in the same places, but they just have different letters. Now there's only one thing left, and this one will actually affect your gameplay in a really big way. So this is that the analog sticks on the Joy-Cons, when you push it to the side, it's too easy to push it all the way to the side. So this is not very good because when you're trying to aim maybe a sniper shot and you're trying to move slowly to line it up perfectly, but then it accidentally just goes way too fast and maybe you miss your shot, it's really bad and it actually does affect your gameplay. So this might cause you to put it on a lower sensitivity, but that will just make it so it's harder to turn around and things like that. So that's the only one that's actually a major problem with the Joy-Cons. So now we're going to talk about the different ways to use the Joy-Cons. So the first way is probably the one that you think of first. It's just on the Switch. This one is fine. There's only one possible problem I can see with it, is that it's really wide. But this, you'll get used to it really quickly, but it might be weird for the first few times you play it if you're used to using a different console. Next one is the Joy-Cons separate. I actually really like this one, and it's my favorite way to play with the Joy-Cons because your fingers will curl around them slightly and it makes it feel like you're holding two nunchucks for the Wii remotes. And if you know what those are, they're pretty comfortable. So that's why I really like doing it like that. And the button layout doesn't feel too weird like that. Now the next one is the Joy-Con grip. This one is good because it has a traditional feel, but some of the problems are that the button layout is really strange. The D-pad is directly below the left analog stick, and the right analog stick is directly below the face buttons, which is actually really annoying, and it feels really weird to play Fortnite with a controller like this. I have another small complaint with this one, and it's that my middle finger and my ring finger press up on the back a little bit too much and it makes it uncomfortable when I'm playing for a long time, but that's maybe just me. Let me know if you have that problem in the comments, but that's kind of the reason that I don't use that very much. So all of these things seem like really bad things for the Joy-Cons. They might make it seem like there's no point getting Fortnite on the Switch. But there's one solution that I haven't even mentioned yet, the Pro Controller. So this controller is absolutely amazing. So the things that I like about it are that it has really big buttons that go in pretty far, and they have a matte finish, so they feel really nice. It also has triggers that go in really far, which is also really nice, especially compared to the Joy-Cons. It has really nice analog sticks that are really big, and they don't snap to the sides like the other ones. They try to go back to the middle, just like a normal controller. So if you're using an Xbox controller, you might want to try the Pro Controller if you're thinking about switching to Switch, I guess. It actually has really nice analog sticks that they stay straight up in the middle because there's this slight click that prevents any drift at all, which is something that I also really like. My favorite thing about the Pro Controller is that it has the perfect shape. It has a shape better than any other controller I've ever used, so that's why when I'm playing with the Nintendo Switch, I always use this controller because it's the best controller out there, in my opinion. But there is a problem with it, and that's that it is expensive. I don't know the exact price, but I might put it on screen. Now on to the next section, which is the performance on the Switch. So with the Switch being such a tiny system, you might be wondering if it can actually run Fortnite at an acceptable level. So I want to say just right off the bat that it does run well and it's better than mobile. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the frame rate, and it doesn't go over 30 frames per second, which is kind of bad maybe if you're a pro player, but for me, I don't notice it at all, and I don't really care about a frame rate higher than that because it looks pretty much fine for me. Now there is an issue though, it might go down in crowded spaces like when you're in the lobby. This isn't too bad because when you're in the lobby, you're not actually fighting, so usually you won't be around enough people to make it lag in an actual match. So the next part is the resolution. The Nintendo Switch's resolution when it's docked is 1600 by 900, which is definitely not even close to as high as it goes on the Xbox One X, but you can't really compare the two systems. This one is lower than 1080p though, which is kind of disappointing, but it's not too big of a problem because it still looks pretty good. In portable mode, it is lower than that, but since the screen's so small, you can't actually tell. I couldn't find an exact resolution on the portable mode, but I know that it is lower than 1600 by 900. Both of these resolutions do look sharp, even though they're not as high as in the other places. So the next part is render distance. So this is just how far you can see pretty much. So on the Nintendo Switch, you can't see as far as on the other versions because what happens is it gets blurry the further away you are. And this actually works really well when you're in the battle bus. You can see the entire map and you don't need more detail because it's so small. But as you get closer, the Nintendo Switch version actually keeps those low quality versions of everything so that you're going down and you can't see any detail in any of the buildings. You can just see the vague shape of them. But then it starts to pop in and it loads and you can see it in more detail. And then you can actually pick which building you're gonna land at. This actually gives you a disadvantage for your gameplay because you're not going to be able to decide where you want to go as fast as other players on different systems. This is one of the things that's a major issue when you're playing on the Nintendo Switch version. So now I'm going to talk about the overall gameplay and just some extra things. So at first, the game is really easy and you're going to be getting tons and tons of kills. This is because it puts you against really easy players because there's skill-based matchmaking now, so you're going to just be destroying people. So then when you get better, you're going to have to fight against harder people, which is good because when you're playing with the Joy-Cons, it's not going to put you against other people who are using Pro controllers. So you're not going to die all the time if you're playing with Joy-Con, which is a really good thing. But if you're playing with a Pro controller, it's going to put you against harder people because it's not specifically based on which controller you're going to use. It's just you'll probably be better with a Pro controller, so it's going to put you against better players. And you're going to be worse with Joy-Cons, so it's going to put you against worse players. I hope that explains what I'm talking about a bit better because it's kind of hard to explain. So on the small screen in tabletop mode where it's pretty far away, it's really hard to see other players. And this is kind of annoying because you're not going to be able to see people and they'll be able to sneak up on you a lot easier. So that's kind of annoying, but if you're playing in handheld mode where it's closer to your face, then that's a lot better because you won't have to deal with that. So now some other things I want to mention. It does have touchscreen gameplay, which is really useless, but I guess it's kind of good that they included it. But the Switch's touchscreen isn't that great, so there's no point in doing it. You can just play with the controllers and it's a lot more fun. So the next thing is that because the Switch is a portable system, you might go on bad Wi-Fi, like maybe in public places. And I don't really recommend playing games like this, although you can. It's just that people are going to be rubber banding around and you're not going to be able to hit any shots, and it's going to be a pretty bad game. So that's why I wouldn't recommend doing that. I just recommend playing maybe at home or places with good Wi-Fi, but that's really up to you, and that just kind of comes with it being a portable system. There's one final thing that I wanted to mention, and that's that you still use the A button to move things around in your inventory. And the A button is in a different spot on the Xbox One and the Switch. So when you're playing on the Xbox, you're pressing the button in the bottom to move things around. But on the Nintendo Switch, you have to press the one to the right a bit more. So that's kind of annoying because it takes a bit to get used to. I made a lot of mistakes where I just closed my inventory instead of moving the things around at first, but I did actually get used to it pretty fast. So that's the only slight control difference. So overall, what I think is that all the other consoles and PC are better than the Switch. But that doesn't mean the Switch is bad, because it's the best portable option possible over all of the iPads and phones and stuff, because even if those are more powerful than the Switch has the controllers, which definitely makes it the best. That's why I definitely recommend that you play Fortnite on the Nintendo Switch. So if you made it to the end of this video, please be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell, and also like the video. This is a new channel, so I have like no subscribers right now, so it would be really good if you could subscribe, because I'm going to be posting every single Tuesday and every single Friday. So if you want to see those videos, then please be sure to subscribe. Some ideas I've been thinking of are Super Mario 3D Land versus New Super Mario Bros. 2. That's one that I'm planning to make. And I'm also going to take a look at the 3DS in 2019 to see if it's a system that you should buy. So if this is the first video that you're seeing from me, please subscribe if you like Nintendo content. Bye.